The next 18 months will continue being a difficult period in the South African economy. This is according to Alexander Forbes chief economist Isaah Mhlanga. He says South Africa has its own complications that hamper investor confidence and, as a result, economic growth. This, he says, are the political and economic policy crises which manifest in weak confidence.
The South African economy is in dire straits. Addressing a summit of asset managers in Johannesburg, Mhlanga says, with the global economy slowing down, domestic economic growth will have to be generated internally. He says the public spat about policy positions by high-ranking government and political figures add to the policy uncertainty. The debate on the nationalization of the Reserve Bank and land expropriation without compensation are also to blame. He called for the private sector to hold government accountable to create a conducive environment for investments.
We have three broad challenges. The political environment is still quite challenging. We have a policy environment that is also challenging, which impacts on the third, which is confidence that remain quite low. And the cheapest form of stimulus is boosting confidence. And until we can boost confidence, we are not going to be able to see that stimulus coming into the economy. So we have to solve the political challenge that we have, and it still exists because you can see the various debates about policy positions that seems to be no agreement about what it needs to be done.
Asset managers say recent governance scandals surrounding big listed companies make their jobs difficult.
There definitely seems to be a leadership, governance and an auditing crisis if you look at corporate South Africa and South Africa in general. So I think that's our biggest concern. As analysts and fund managers, we're reliant on audited financial statements and the words of management. And we've seen quite a few scandals emerge over the last few years, whether that be Steinhoff, more recently Tongaat, where we place a little bit less trust than we used to on management and auditor statements. But outside of that, we have very little to rely on because that's the only publicly available info that we have to go on.
The economy is expected to grow at less than 1% this year and in 2020. Klura Sefako Mosi, SABC News, Johannesburg.